Are you a huge NBA fan? I mean, you probably watch games on ABC, NBA TV, TNT, ESPN, or even League Pass. You're balling. You buy the latest version of NBA 2K every year. And with all of that, you still don't play fantasy basketball. Like, what part of the game is that? If you've been thinking about trying fantasy basketball for the first time, or you tried it before, but it was just way too confusing, time consuming, and you weren't in the right place for it, in this episode, I'm going to show you how fantasy basketball can improve the way you experience the NBA and take watching games to the next level. Please stick around until the end. I'm going to share the number one platform for new or returning fantasy basketball managers. Now, the story goes, fantasy is for cornballs. It's for people who live in their mom's basement, for losers, people with no life. And for many years, that's the way I looked at fantasy. I wouldn't touch it because I thought it was nerdy. Now, mind you, I come from a hip hop background and, it was really about being cool and being the best and like that, dressing nice. Like that was my thing. So when people were talking about fantasy basketball, it's something that I couldn't even imagine myself doing. It was something that I wanted no parts of. Like it was not going to be me. And that was the way it is. And then I had a friend convince me to try it out. And when I did, what I noticed is that I enjoyed sports more. I enjoyed watching games more. I started with fantasy football, and the season that I played fantasy football, I found myself like really giving a crap about sports again. It felt like the only time I wanted to watch sports was when my favorite team was playing, and fantasy kind of opened my eyes to the beauty of sports in general. So my first point is basketball shouldn't just be about your home team. I was a Jordan fan as a child. I started off just being into basketball because of Michael Jordan. And when he retired, I was lost. I remember not knowing what to do with myself. I tried to be a Washington Wizards fan when he went there. It didn't seem right. I tried to be a Chicago Bulls fan after he retired. That didn't feel right. So then eventually I started focusing on my home teams, which were the New Jersey Nets at the time and the New York Knicks. But even that didn't feel right, and as I got mature, I realized, for me at least, and some would disagree, that being a New Yorker, you have the ability to have options. I'm a New York sports fan, so I love everything. The Brooklyn Nets, the New York Knicks, the Liberty, the Yankees, the Mets, the Giants, the Jets, the Rangers, anything that has to do with New York sports, I'll support it. And with fantasy, it gave me a very similar feeling. It gave me the opportunity to invest in different teams and players. And that is just golden. It's almost like every single game that's on, I have some kind of stake in it, whether it's my opponent owning, or managing a player on one of those teams, or if it's me rooting for my own player. I think it really it enhances the game watching experience. The next thing is it opens your eyes to statistics, and the details of the game. Casual fans won't see it. They won't understand what a plus minus is. They won't understand, assist to turnover ratios, and they won't pay attention to blocks and steals and the importance of defensive statistics. For me, in fantasy, I've literally lost a game because of a turnover. Like having the game down packed and then Damian Lillard turns the ball over and I lose the game in the playoffs, which sucks, but also it gives you a whole nother level of excitement when it comes to the game that you love. It literally puts you on the edge of your seat. Like I've been watching basketball on a Sunday night with my team, with one of the players from my team going head to head with a player from another team in the actual game in real life. So like my Dame Lillard versus someone's John Morant, like in real life, watching them go blow for blow, it just creates a whole nother level of, watching games and experiencing basketball. And the last thing is just the competition. You don't have to actually play basketball physically. If, like, I love to play basketball. I'm not the best, but I love to compete. And, the competition factor just creates a whole nother level. So now you go from like rooting for a team to like trying to compete with your friends, coworkers, or league mates, and it creates a community, a fellowship, a brotherhood or a sisterhood. You connect with people on a whole nother level. I have friends who I started playing fantasy with 5 or 6 years ago, and we started like through our work league, being at the same place of business and building a league there. But now I don't work there, and they're some of my best friends. We have great connections. We stay in contact throughout the year. It's an amazing, experience, and it all started from fantasy basketball. And, one other thing is I've reconnected with friends and family on a higher level through fantasy. So like some of my old high school friends, when I first started getting into fantasy, I've reached out to them and was like, hey, do you guys do this? And they were like, yeah. So we started a league with our friends and family, like my cousins, my brother, we all connected on a deeper level through fantasy. So I hope this gives you some insight on why, you should jump in right now. If you're an NBA fan, like, try fantasy out. It will totally enhance your experience. Now, before I tell you about the #1 fantasy basketball platform for new and returning managers, I want to tell you about Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is the best place to play fantasy sports, including best ball, daily drafts, and pick'em. Start drafting in minutes for a shot at big cash and an enhanced game watching experience. Did I mention that Kevin Durant and Mark Cuban invested in Underdog? Once I heard about those cosigns, I had to spread the news. Sign up today and use the code GamePickPodcast. Underdog will match your first deposit up to $100. It's like getting free money. Don't miss out on your chance to double up from the jump. To sign up, just download the Underdog Fantasy app on Android or iOS. Now, the #1 fantasy basketball platform for new and returning managers, Sleeper app. I'm going to say the Sleeper app in their new game pick format. It simplifies the game, and also it's really easy in terms of the amount of responsibility that you have week to week. Whereas for daily changes leagues, like using Yahoo or ESPN, it could be, a burden for people. They have weekly lock leagues, but for that, you're kind of crippled. The team you're playing might have more games than you, so it's kind of hard. I think with Sleeper, it simplifies it, and it also levels the playing field. So you have the opportunity to pick one game per week for your players in the starting lineup, and your opponent gets to do the same thing. So it makes it even. It's an easy way to start, and then if you want to, you could kind of develop and go into, ESPN, Yahoo, and if you even want to take it from points leagues and move up to categories, you can do that. But I just think Sleeper is a great place to start. So my recommendation for new or returning fantasy managers would be the Sleeper app. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I hope you crush your league. Now go out there and make some game picks.